Okay, I'm back again today, working on the Vim book, continue to write the Vim book. Yesterday, I stopped off where I was trying to find a plugin for editing motions in Vim, or not, sorry, not editing motions, but leveraging motions, shortcuts for jumping around on the screen. So let me just continue from there. So I tried a bunch of motion-based plugins yesterday, and I did not like them over what I was already using, which is Hop. Except that Hop has had some issues in the last few years in terms of having their maintaining their maintainer, let's just say, because the original person who made it, I guess, switched off of Neovim, so not using it anymore. And then other people have taken over, it seems, and it seems to be fairly well maintained. So I might not have to switch, but having gone through that list again, I noticed there was one plugin I didn't try, which is Flash, um, by, I don't know how to pronounce this name. Folk, Foke. Ah, it's a Belgian name, so I definitely don't know how to pronounce it. So I thought I would give this a try and see if it does what I want. I did briefly look through the feature set, and they have some examples here of things that might mimic what I'm doing with Hop. Maybe not, but also maybe. Let's see. So I will try that here. Get into init Lua. I'm going to, yeah, I'll just remove Hop, and we'll copy wholesale Flash. And just going to take a look here. I think I will change this to my my key that I use instead of the S. And then here I might do something like double semicolon. And then I don't know what these are. I actually use R quite a bit. So I'm going to not have this be the overwrite. And we'll see. We'll see how this works. Exit, get back in, have that plugin installed. I'll clean out the plugins that aren't being used. And then let's see. So if I, just to double check, I'll exit and enter back again. So let's say I'm here and I want to go to this L over here. So I press semicolon L. And does it want me to press R? Okay, I don't hate it. That's super quick. If I do space, because it's accommodating for all these spaces, it's giving me spaces that are near to me here. I actually want to go to a space here, for example. So spaces don't quite work in the way that I would have wanted, which is fine. I think I might be able to modify that because in the docs here, I think they take in patterns somewhere. Okay, so I'm not. Okay, this is a huge match the beginning of the word only. So it seems like it returns something, or it takes a pattern, jump to a certain pattern. So I want to see whether I can accommodate that by defining a certain pattern. And it might not work, but I'm willing to give this a shot. But I like what I see just with that immediate thing. Let's see what else I can do here. But let's see generally, like if I wanted to go to this indent, if I press semicolon IN, so I can do both, right? I can keep typing. Press I see that W. That's great. Let's say I want to go to this S here. semicolon S. I could type in setup. I actually like this quite a bit because it's not limited to that 2-character search thing. It works for the single character, works very simply for the single character. I don't always have to type in 2 characters, which was a reason I didn't like Leap, because it seemed like I had to always type in the 3 characters or something close to that, at least in its default configuration. So I like this so far. Let's see what the other options are. So tree sitter based Flash. So if I press semicolon twice in my settings, so it's allowing me tree sitter based navigation. So go to the start of the function. So just in the area I'm in, I get some motions available to me. So if I press CD now, that did not expect it to do that. That's weird. IJ, what is that? E, why does it, is it supposed to, oh, I think it's selecting. It's not just, it's in visual mode. It's not just, I actually don't dislike that. I think that's useful. If I want to highlight the entire function, I press E, and that selects that entire function. I actually like that quite a bit. It's a neat little feature. I guess remote flash would have been everywhere else, I guess. That's fine. I'm happy. Yeah, you know what? Let's try it. I shouldn't have removed it, really, because I'm not using R like immediately right now. So let me get that back, and let's see what happens when I press R here. Nothing happens. Just press, oh, mode O. I didn't read this. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. R. So O is when, O as a mode is when we're waiting for a certain command. So that's operator pending mode. When you press an action and Vim is waiting for a motion. And so that's interesting. So instead of, so I could press something like D from here, and then I can press R space, and then capital G. I thought that would have done the delete from there to here. Like, I mean, okay, that's weird. So it's not, I guess I don't understand it yet. And maybe I can read the docs to understand it a little bit better. What else? In visual mode, sorry, I have capital R, which does a tree sitter search in visual mode. I don't understand it. So capital R outside of visual mode is still what it is. If I do something like D capital R, and then I say flash Q, that did do the delete. Although that's a lot harder to reason about. D capital R H. I guess I don't understand. I don't understand what's happening. So let me try that again. I'm here, and I want to delete up to this H, let's say. So I do D capital R H. Why do I have so many shortcuts? Okay, let's try that again. Let's do DR. H, S. Is there, now it brings the cursor here in some weird mode in open. So we're still in O-pending mode, but I just gave you a motion. I don't dislike this. I actually like it, except I thought it would have worked. And it seems like it didn't work. I think with this one, what I didn't understand was I think the intent is I'm here and I want to delete, I guess, everything inside the brackets. So I press D capital R. No, I actually don't get it. Brackets? No, no, don't understand what this does. I'm not blaming the plugin. It's just I don't understand it. I really like this. I like this as well. Let's see if this works naturally with delete in the way that I was thinking. So let's say I'm here and I want to delete to this H. So I press D semicolon H S. That works. That works exactly. So if I press D semicolon space X, it deletes to the space that I had wanted. D semicolon space and then capital Y. Although I don't like capital Y as a, I like lowercase letters to be my options to choose. So, but I think that should be configurable. It says enhanced F, T, and T. So does it actually enhance those motions? If I press F, F. Oh, I see. I see what it's doing. So if I press like FR, which is like, go forward to R, it overtakes all of those. And now I can keep pressing R until I want to go to the R I want. So FR, it'll already take me to the next one. And then if I move, so if I'm here and if I say FH, it's taken me to the next H, but I can keep pressing H. No, I can keep pressing F. Sorry. I can keep pressing F to navigate all the H's. Not sure how I feel about that. Willing to give it a chance. Let's try it with T. Because I do things like DT space a lot. DT space. I don't like this. I don't like that now it's in this mode. DF space. I do that a lot. So I actually don't want it to override. If I was to go with this, I don't want enhanced forward and two motions because I use them in actions and it's modifying my UI too much. Integrate with your regular search. So is that what is it also doing? So if I say /flash, enter, no, it hasn't. But I guess I have the option to /remote /ash. Okay, I don't see the difference there. I like this. Type as many characters as you want before using a jump label. Super useful. I like the tree-sitter thing. I don't understand some of the other things here. Let's try. I want to open up a different file. Let's say this saved old version of something. And if I did semicolon S, so it is across windows. I don't dislike that. I actually like it, in fact. Just going to check my messages very quickly so I can ignore them after this point. Okay. I don't understand remote locations just yet. And it says it's highly extensible, which is great. I'm just trying to measure whether I want to switch to this. A few benefits of switching to this is in my setup, I guess I could undo all the way to my hop setup. I use leader W, leader J, leader K, and leader E, which is a lot of key space being taken up. I could ultimately switch to this kind of a thing with this, which I like. Type in one character and then the rest of them. I'm going to keep this on the back burner. I'm going to keep this. I'm not going to switch to it now because I feel like I need to get more familiar with it. So I might do that off stream at some point, but I do like the feeling. Like it feels like something I should pursue, where the other ones didn't. So still going to stick to hop just so I can move on. Okay. This is vimnotes.html. Maybe I can add some of that padding after all, because now it's beginning to annoy me. So if I'm here, and this is my broken Vim still because I deleted all the plugin folders. So just bear with me as I get these error messages over and over and over, which is very annoying, I understand. Okay, so I have a PY on the body, and I'm okay to put a PX4 on the body as well. And hopefully that would have been enough to generate at least some padding, and it has. So it's not sticking right to the edge. So when I go like this, it's not piercing my eyes. Okay, so back to the book. And let's go back to notes here, and I'll do half screen here as well. Okay, all I'm doing here is describing jumps and describing the jump list, that they work across files. And at some point later on, I'm going to re-review the entire thing as if I'm narrating the book while demonstrating it at the same time. I'm not going to do that now, but that will be one of the next things. And I use hop. I reference hop many other times. But okay, Vim keeps a list of locations that you jump to. So I do talk about marks, but very briefly, right? I don't really use marks, but here's how you do it. And if you did uppercase marks, they're safe between sessions. Lowercase marks are not safe between sessions. Going to the last mark, going to the last edit. Actually, that's pretty useful. Going to the last edit. Quote dot. Okay. Otherwise, more editing bits. X to delete the character under cursor. X to delete Shift X or capital X, uppercase X to delete the character before the cursor. R replaces the character under the cursor. And then this, which I don't know why this is necessary at all. I guess, when you talk about Vim, it was written at a time where access to terminals was very different. So me not understanding something now means I just don't have enough knowledge to understand it. Replaces the character under the cursor and moves one cursor forward, which is something I would never use. I use R a lot, but I never use capital R, which means I can probably remap it to something at some point. changing the case under the cursor, deleting the character under the cursor, and getting into insert mode, which is S. And I never used S before. And eventually, I will be overriding S later on. Maybe even in this session, hopefully. And again, we can combine these actions or commands with numbers. Editing actions. So D and C, for example, will delete or change. Really, cut is delete here. But note that unlike these actions, which immediately kind of make a change, these don't do anything until you combine them with a motion. And that's what Vim really is at the end of the day, is a dance between actions and motions. And here's some examples: DW, D5W, what have you. So if you're familiar with Vim, this is fairly basic stuff. But, honestly, like a lot of folks learn just DW without understanding that it's an action combined with a motion. They know DW as like one unit. But don't know that you could do D5W, which is delete 5 words, or 5DW, which is the same thing. This is also the same thing. You could do 2D, 4W. I don't know why you would do ever that kind of thing, but you could. DD to delete entire lines, CC to change a line. All good stuff. And I'm introducing repeat, which was like a repeated last action. And it's important not to memorize any of these, but to continue to combine them, understand the parts and how they come together. And then hop is a motion as well. So you could do something like D, so leader W, which will delete to the word that you jump to. So if I wanted to, I don't know if I can demonstrate this here now, so I can. So if I do D, leader W, and then F, it deletes to whatever F was highlighting. The mouse is also a motion. So you can, start with your cursor anywhere, press D, and then click somewhere else. So you could say D, and then, well, that's unfortunate that this is, let me just bring the text up here. So if I press D, and then I click here, which key is unfortunately getting in the way. Maybe there's some characters that which key really shouldn't engage for, but that did happen here. I think it'd be better demonstrated somewhere here where I can do something like D and then click here and it deletes to that. So combining actions with mouse motions, which I don't do, but I encourage it if that makes people feel comfortable. It's interesting because if you already have one hand on the keyboard where a number of actions are available to you, and one hand already on the mouse, then you don't have to change anything. You don't have to go back to the keyboard in order to make the change. You go D, click, and you're done. Okay, yeah, changing to lowercase, changing to uppercase, indentation revisited. So just covering indentation a little bit in more detail. And then jumping into visual mode. Not going to go into, I'll actually just, for my own purposes, sometimes I reread this and it's a reminder of things that I've forgotten as well. So getting into visual mode, character-wise, line-wise, or block-wise, super useful. GV selects the last selected text. Once you're in visual mode, pressing O will take you to the edges of that visual mode. Super useful. I think capital O does the exact same thing. And then obviously any action applies directly to what you've selected in visual mode. Editing multiple lines at once. So if you're in, so just as an example, if I had something like hello, and I wanted to change just these dashes into stars, Control V, highlight them. R star will replace all of them. For example, Control V. If I wanted to add something to the start of these lines, I press capital I, space, press escape, and that applies to all the lines. What else? A will get me to the end of that selection. So if I wanted to say blah, escape, and I'll add blah broadly. You can also Control V, select your lines, and then press $sign to get to the end of each one of those lines. I think this works even if those lines are have different widths. So now if I press the $, so now each one of these have been highlighted to the end. And now if I press capital A and say dash blah, escape, it does that to the end of each one of those lines. Just gonna check my messages again, just in case something's popped up. Okay. That's fine. So just some cool things that you can do once you understand the basic combinations. Another pretty cool thing you can do is this: blah, Zod, we, Google. So I have a list here. I'm visually selecting this line by line. And then if I press colon to get into command line mode, exclamation mark, this will run whatever I type in here on the actual command line in the terminal. And I can say sort, which is just an available command line utility, and press enter. It will sort this list for me. So anytime you have something that's already available to you on the terminal command line, like here, sort is available to you, you can use, I thought this would give me like a help. So sort's available to you. You can visualize whatever you want, pass it to sort, and then it will pass whatever you highlighted as input to this command line command, and then replace this with the outputs of that. So you don't always need plugins for everything. Like you don't need a sort plugin in Vim if you know about the sort command line command, which I think is actually absolutely amazing. So if I have something that converts Lua code into Ruby code, I could do something like visualize this, colon, exclamation mark, Lua to Ruby, if that was a thing. Press enter, and it would send this as input to this command and replace this with the outputs. You could do silly things as well, like if I'm here, so I can go to visual mode, and I could do ls. And these are all the files I have in that directory. So just the basic thing is it's passing in whatever you highlighted as the input to the command, and is going to return the output. I don't think people generally know this about Vim. But okay, yeah, things like converting CSS to Sass or whatever the case may be. Just actually need to check a couple of messages that I do need to reply to off screen here. If you will allow me a second. Okay, that's fine. That message is not for me. Okay. Right, so here's a little cheat, which I will apply here because essentially I'm building my own Vim config. I don't really use escape, I use Control-C, which is bad. I know it's not great, but it's what I'm used to because I don't want to go all the way to the escape key in order to escape. I could use Control open bracket, open square bracket. I know that. It doesn't feel natural to me. Like I like having Control C. It does cause problems sometimes with certain plugins. I'm aware of that, but I still like it. So I am going to do it. But I think I say somewhere, you don't have to. And yeah, caps lock I have mapped to control as it should be. So, oh, I need to change this. This needs to match this here. Otherwise, my replacement code will break. So let me go back here. I should go full screen for this. I thought that would be available to me. It is not. And this is the exact kind of editing that I need. This is precisely the work that I intended to be doing here on the stream, is like updating properly, following through, making sure everything still works. So I actually, unfortunately, need to copy the entire block. Yeah. Replace it, and I'm going to use Control V to get into block mode, capital I, space, escape to add one space to all these lines here. Okay, so that will settle that. And then I will go back here and just copy it from here. Okay. And now I have that Control C access. Control C is supposed to exit a command, like break out of a command, versus complete it, because escape will actually help you complete it. Let me quickly actually demonstrate this. Might as well. So, for example, if I do 5i hello escape, it enters hello 5 times because I did 5i hello. If I do 5i hello, but press Control C, it will break out of that. It won't complete it. But now, having done this mapping, I'll exit and come back to get it. So having done that mapping, if I do 5i hello and I press Control C, wait, what? That didn't work because I pressed I first. So if I do 5i hello and I press Control C, that will mimic that escape. Versus, and again, it's not ideal. I'll do this one more time with 5i hello, and then I'll press Control and open square bracket, which also mimics the escape, which is Vim's recommended way of doing it. I don't think Vim/Neovim does not recommend this. So ignore it if you don't want it. This is actually interesting as well. Very similar to the visualization bit. I'm just going to go down here to demonstrate. If I did :R, exclamation mark ls, it's going to run whatever I put here on the actual command line, on the terminal command line, and pump the contents back. It's going to read those contents back into the file. So I don't use this. I actually just you go into visual mode and do the same thing. That'll give me the date, but I could, for example, go here, :R, exclamation mark date, which does the exact same thing, pretty much. What else? Okay, here I guess I'm just explaining how mappings work. And note, I'm using hop again because the first time we used mappings in this book was with hop. So if I replace hop, I actually have to modify all the references to hop in all the other sections, which is fine. It's not a big deal. Not going to go through this in detail, but kind of demonstrating how remap works very slowly. Some of these things I forget, like they're not always in my mindset as I'm using Vim, it turns out. Okay, copy and paste. This should be fun. yank, and then paste. Capital P will paste above the cursor or before the cursor or line. I never use this, but GP will paste but leave the cursor after the pasted text, whereas P will keep the cursor where it is. And line-based actions, YY will yank the entire line. The additional thing, the tricky part with Vim is that D and C also actually yank the text as well. So when you do a change or you do a cut, delete, it will copy the text into Vim's own registry, let's just say, which is not available to you on the system clipboard. Right, so here, I'm actually saying that here. Vim does not impact the system's clipboard. So yanking something won't make it pastable in a different application. I actually like this functionality of Vim. I know that, for example, in Kickstart, I think while looking at this, I saw that they sync the clipboard between OS and Neovim by doing this. I do not like that for a variety of reasons. Because if I do like DW here, I don't want that available in my clipboard somewhere else intentionally. Especially if I copy something here, I might do something like this, which I'll do often. I'll copy this number here. I'll come back here. I'll do CW. And then when I paste, I get number. That's normal. But when I merge the clipboards, and if I did CW here and I pasted, I would get key map again, which is totally not the workflow I use. So I don't like this because it breaks my usage patterns. But I think a lot of people do like this. So it seemed popular enough for it to be here in like Kickstart's settings. Yeah, which I explain here. Look, I said you can do it, but don't do it. Don't do it. It's not. You can do it if you want. You can do whatever you want. Now, in order to yank and paste from the system, I have some shortcuts. So I say leader C, and leader C indicates I'm kind of in clipboard mode for me, and then leader CY and leader CP. That's because I would, like these keys are a bit weird to type, but you could type these, not a big deal. I don't use registers directly, so I like these shortcuts as a way of copy and pasting from Vim into outside of Vim. So if I wanted to now copy this block, I guess I'll quit and come back so that changes take effect. If I wanted to copy this block, I will do something like highlight it and then do leader CY. And now that's yanked into my clipboard. So if I come here and paste, you can see that it's what I copied using this shortcut, leader CY. So it works in normal mode. And it works in, so I can say leader CYW, and that will have copied just the word Vim into my global clipboard. So that's that. Yeah, so if I do leader CYY, it'll yank the line into the clipboard. Super useful. And now I don't have to merge my clipboards. But yeah, all of this is happening through registers. So, and registers are kind of denoted by this double quote key in Vim. And you can yank into a register or delete text into a register if you want it. I don't ever do this. Yeah, I rarely ever do this. The thing that I do, and yes, I said do, is when you're in insert mode, you can use Control R in order to access your register. And paste while you're in insert mode. If you want to get and this is useful also on the command line. So let's say I'm here and I press colon to get into Vim's command. And I want to say, I wanted to get this text here, but I don't want to type it. I can do Control R, Control W, and the text under the cursor is pasted here, which is actually very useful. I do that. I do use that. And then similarly, if I'm in insert mode here, I could press Control R, and then I can type in, I guess. So that's actually not that useful because I don't have anything copied. But I'll actually demo this after the next plugin that I install, which is WitchKey. WitchKey is a much broader plugin, but it actually comes with the ability to view your registers as you're using Vim. So let me actually go to WitchKey's page to see if anything there has changed in terms of installation notes or what have you. Let me just bring this back up here. And take a look here. WitchKey config. So timeout. I'm setting some timeout things. And then require. So I'm setting it up and I'm changing the border. Here, they don't have anything other than like the very lazy addition here and keys. So leader question mark will show global equals false. Not exactly sure what that does. I don't think I want to copy that. I think I have these for a particular reason, and I think I just have this for how it looks and feels. I'm okay to bring in event very lazy and see what that does. So which key? And I'll paste in that change here so that it's available when I go back here to copy paste it. And so here we go. Installing WitchKey into, I guess I should indent all of this broadly. I just noticed this indent is not. Okay, so now it is properly indented. So, okay, exit, save and exit, re-enter, install WitchKey. It says there's issues with my config. Check health WitchKey to find out more. That's helpful. Let's do that. ops.window is deprecated. Use ops.win instead. Okay, that's useful. And then mini icons is not installed. And here they're looking for overlapping keys, which I don't care too much about. But let's go ahead and install mini icons. Which do they say here? It's optional. But I feel like in order to get what I want out of it, I will install it. And I can do that here. Dependencies. Just want to make sure that that is the syntax, and it is equal to this. And I can paste that here and get that in. And now Windows just win. Save this, come back, Mini icons is installed. Let's do that check health again. So that's fine. And the only thing I have is this, which is fine. And now because I modified this, I'll have to modify my my setup here. So kind of still dealing with that error filled. It's interesting. I tried to do something there that did not work, but it's not important. So now this is my config. Let me save that and test that out here. Okay, looks good. Let's actually try which key, which I haven't done yet. So let's come back. And now if I press double quote, I will see the registers. And so this functionality is being provided by which key. And because I deleted the DOW from window, that has now been copied into one of these registers, or one or more of these registers. And this is also nice because it defines what the registers are. Like this is your last yank, this is your last deleted thing, this is your last search pattern, which is really useful. So for example, if I was here in the command line for whatever reason, and let's say I have some search command, I was like, oh, I want to search the last thing I searched. So you can press Control R / and it pastes the last thing that I search. And then you could use this to reference that. Note that if you're here, if you press Control R, you also get which key. So now you don't have to memorize the shortcuts for all the registers. And I don't I don't know these by heart, and I don't want to know these, but this is not something that I want to be navigating. So this is super useful. And which key broadly is even more useful. But definitely this is a good reason, good motivation to start to install which key, even if you don't use it for the other purposes. It doesn't seem like it's gotten those icons, but okay, fine. Okay, so I'm happy with this, and we can move on. Yeah, and here's just me explaining how which key works. Does a lot more, right? If you press space, which is the leader key, it will now show me everything that's available. Okay, moving on, the Yankee plugin. I really, really like this plugin. It supercharges yanking in the Vim world. I will take a look to see here whether it's still here. It is, and it's under the editing support section. But I'm sure there's other, like so many other Yank-based plugins now. Yank Bank and Yank Lock and Karen Yank. Karen Yank. Mini Yank. I'm going to stick with Yankee unless there's any issues. So let's just double check that they're still updated. And let's see if they've changed their installation patterns much. All I've done here in mine is done some key mappings. I think all of these are the recommended key mappings that they had. And then done the setup. That's really it. So nothing extra, which they have here, a more complete setup. Okay, so they're leveraging this keys functionality provided by Lazy Vim. And it seems like they have a lot more. I don't use everything here. I use what is described. They also have this like store your yankering in SQLite. I feel that's extra. So really, I feel like leader P, yank history. I don't have that. I do not use that. Yankee ring history. Just double checking some of the things. Yeah, so why is Yankee Yank in NX mode? Yeah, all of those seem fine. So I'm just gonna go with what I already have. So no new changes, just what I have here. And I'll quickly demonstrate what this does once I get it in. Maybe I should rewrite this to use the keys functionality here. What about setup? Is setup not needed anymore? I guess not. So if I remove this, come back here. So now setup is gone. If I yank this, no, that did not work. Do I need an empty opts to make it work? And this might, so now when I yank, no, it doesn't like it. But I don't know if it's related to my, so a lack of setup. So now I have setup back in there. Now when I yank, that works. So I do need it, but it's not here. I don't know. Okay, so I'm gonna just leave this like this because it works. Let me quickly demonstrate what you can do with it. So let's say I yank this line up here. And I think it's done that highlight for me now. And yank this and yank these 3 lines. I've yanked 3 lines here. I'm gonna come down here and I wanna paste this line that I yanked. But if I press P, this was I forgot I yanked before or after or whatever. Now I can press Control N and Control P to cycle through the yank ring. So if I press Control N, it's going back 1. Control N again. Yes, this was the line I wanted. Great. And so now you don't have to worry about yanking multiple times. You can yank, you can yank freely as much as you like. And you know that when you're ready to paste, you can still cycle through your previous yanks. What else? I think that's really the crux of the yanking setup here. I think that's really the most important part of what I use Yankee for, is just cycling through. So useful. And also sometimes when you have a split screen and you want to yank something here and then come back, paste, and yank this and come back, paste, and you want to yank 3 different things, you could just yank all 3 things and then paste and cycle. So it changes your patterns of behavior as well. But definitely it helps in a pinch, because if I did DW here, I'm like, I yanked something before and then I did a DW. So when I come down here and paste, that's not what I wanted. That was a delete. Then I press Control N and I'm back in that cycle. So super cool plugin that allows you to cycle through your yanks. Okay. So no real changes here, I believe. I could, I suppose, do keys. I'm not going to do this right now. I'll leave the explicit key maps here. But if I do change this to keys, I will need to explain in the book or the tutorial that I had done that. Okay, so alongside Yankee, there is the substitute plugin, which I use all the time. Absolutely fantastic plugin. So let's actually see what else GB Prod has been working away at. These ones I know, Nord and Vim, really, that's you. Okay, cool. I think I use one Nord. PHP developer, playing with Lua and Neovim and others. Cutlass. Yeah, so it changes delete so that delete doesn't cut, which I don't really like. I actually want delete to cut and change my clipboard. But now that I have Yankee, thanks to GB Prod, I don't worry about it. But let's go to substitute and let's see if anything in the setup here has changed. Yeah, so we still need to do this. Maybe I didn't come across that a little bit. And here are the default key mappings. I actually do use capital S. Okay, yeah. So, and I know this is where like the Leap plugin uses S for search, but I use S for substitute. And the substitute functionality is way more important to me, not than search. I already have keys for search, like slash is for search, right? So I don't need like another search key. There's already a defined key for search. Okay. Otherwise, all of this seems fine. We're doing some Yankee integration here, which let's just take a look to see whether it's still the same. And it seems like it is. Let me just paste that here, just for reading purposes. Yep, it's the same. Okay, so I am good with this. Happy to copy all of this and bring it in. Save and exit and return. And allow me to demo what this magical plugin does. And this is very sort of niche to Vim, I suppose. Let's say I did YW to yank this word, and I want to replace substitute here with key map. And my cursor is here. I could do SIW, which is substitute in word. I could also do substitute in quotes. And it will replace key map with substitute. If I didn't have this, I might have to do something like CW and then Control R and then find key map, which is 0, and do that. But now instead, I could just do SW. So SW or SIW or SIQ or SI quotes and do that substitution. I use this for lines all the time. Like if I yank this line and I want to replace it with this one, I press SS and that substitutes the entire line. Very useful, like immensely useful. And it binds, in visual mode, in like, substitute to the end of line. So substitute from here to the end of line. So let's say I yank key map and then I want to substitute key map here to the end of the line. Shift S or capital S, and it replaces the rest of the line with whatever I have in my yanked register. Immensely useful, absurdly useful. I don't ever really use Exchange. And I believe the idea of Exchange is for you to go here, press SX, and then for you to go, for you to go be here and press SXW, so exchange word, and then go to whatever you want to exchange it with, and then XXW, and now it's it's exchanged those. Very useful. I just happen not to use it. It's doubly useful because it's just one change. So when you undo, it undoes both of them. I happen not to use it. I might start using it. But it is, if I wanted to replace this line with this line, SXX, and then SXX again, and now those are replaced or switched. It is really magical if you think about it. Okay, I'm an hour in, and I've gotten to substitute. Okay. I was really happy being able to do this cursor stuff here because it's so easy to, it's much easier to visually explain like where the cursor is here. and then not have to have like a pipe symbol to represent the cursor. Yeah, what am I explaining here? Oh yeah, DW, like what DW does after DW. So if you hear your DW, it's gonna delete. Displace space DAW would do something a little different. And this is just explaining text objects, right? In and around, essentially. Delete inward, inner word, inner sentence, around sentence, and so on. Combining actions with text objects. And it does get cooler. Like if you want to delete something inside quotes, you do, if I'm in here, DI single quote, and it will delete everything inside those single quotes. DI bracket will delete everything inside that bracket. Tremendously magical. This is nice. VIP will visualize inside paragraph. So anything that's separated by 2 lines. Dip will delete it. DIP. Yip will yank it. Right, so that just got yanked. And so once you understand motions, actions, and text objects, the combination of those 3 is absolutely fantastic. Okay, I see I'm coming across like a huge block. Do I explain all of these? Yeah, I do. I explain what these are adding. So I'm just going to copy paste this wholesale, see if it works, and then make any changes if there's any issues, because there's a lot here. My assumption is that it should just work. So got all that installed. What does it do? Just going to exit and come back just in case. So yeah, I wasn't necessarily intending to go through the functionality in the stream, just update and make sure everything still works, but let's just run through. I really like this. So this is added by the entire plugin. And now I can do something like D, A, E, and this will delete the entire buffer, DAE. So it does things in the entire buffer. DAE will delete. YAE will yank the entire buffer. I know I can do GG, Shift G, and things like that to, GGV, Shift G to highlight everything. But this is a nice shortcut. YAE will yank it. DAE will delete it. SAE will substitute it, which is also very useful when you're copy pasting entire chunks of files. So that's entire. Yeah, okay. That's a typo here. It should be really. Inner everything. And that's really the same as around everything, because it's everything. So it's almost the same. I love this. This is based on indent. So it's so good. And I'll combine this often with like multiple plugins. So this is provided by the indent object. Let's say I'm here and I want to yank everything on the same indent. Or my cursor's here and I know that in this indent I want to yank everything. So I say YII, and it's yanked everything in that indent. And let's say I come down here, I'm like, oh, I want to, whatever I had yanked, I want to substitute it with everything in this indent. So I press SII. And so obviously, because it doesn't, re-indent, but it has now replaced this with this, for example, just by using II. And so I don't have to go through something like highlighting the whole thing or yanking it. If I'm working with indents a lot, which a lot of code is formatted to work through indents. So if you're especially using things like Python, which is indent based, this kind of thing is very useful. II. There's also AI, which is around indent. And what that does is the indent and the line are above it. So if I say Y AI, it will yank everything in this indent and the required line as well. And that way you could get a whole Python function or if statement or whatever the case may be. So super useful. YII, DII, like I want to get rid of everything inside here. So CII, and I'm ready to type. Instead of thinking about how many lines I need to delete. It does make you fluid. I don't know if it makes you efficient. Sometimes people have an efficiency fetish. I don't think it makes you a faster coder or whatever. It makes you a more fluid coder, which can maybe or maybe not make you a faster coder. And I do think it's important to be fluid as you're navigating your code. Okay. We additionally have things like around function. So yank around function, delete around function, delete inner function, and parameters as well. So parameters of functions. I won't demonstrate that here, but this is what this is doing. And this is kind of the theme of the book, essentially, is like I introduce text objects, and then I immediately introduce some plugins that will enhance and supercharge your text objects. Which again, I don't think this is like a pattern a lot of books do, right? Like I introduce undo, and then I have a plugin that helps you manage undo immediately. Okay. Oh, interesting. Am I still using Vim Surround? Let me load up my backed up. I don't think any one of these is my. I think this one is. And see whether I'm using. I am using Vim Surround. I didn't think I would be. I am happy to keep Vim Surround because it's done by Mr. Pope, Tim Pope, who has, who has contributed immensely to the Vim ecosystem and world. So that's 3 years ago, but I feel like it just works. But for completeness sakes, let's just see what's out there. Is there any facility for dot repeat? Nope. So surround. The thing is, if the UI for this is not exactly the same as Vim Surround, then I have to like think about things and retrain my brain. No, this is the same syntax. And this is regularly updated. I'm happy to try this actually. So let's do that. And then how does it manage repeat? It just does it. We don't need repeat. Okay, let's try this and see how that works. I will go ahead and copy everything here. Okay. No, I messed up. I closed the wrong window by mistake because I don't have alignment of where my window's open just yet. Okay, so I'm here. Let me go down to the end here and paste. Let's indent. Yeah, I'm okay to keep everything here as is. Actually, don't. Yeah, I'll remove it actually. Okay, so we'll run this and see whether it gives me the functionality that I'm looking for. So if I did delete surrounding quotes, it deletes them. Delete surrounding brackets, dot, dot, dot. So dot functionality works. What else? So surround in Word. So if I do use surround in Word, single bracket, that will surround this word with single brackets. Does it do tags? Yeah. Change surrounding tag. So it seems like it accommodates for kind of the core operations, as it says here. So I'm actually good to keep this, which kind of makes me sad as well, because I don't know if I have any other Tim Pope plugins. I have unimpaired. I have commentary. Okay, that's fine. Fugitive, of course, I have fugitive, which is so intense. Okay, so I think everything else here is the same, and so I should just be able to remove this and replace it with. Replace it with this. And I believe I'm just checking the indenting. 2 indent, 2 spaces before any of this, so that should be fine. And now when I, oops, eventually those issues will go away. When I refresh this, now I'm getting Neovim surround instead of Tim Pope surround. And all this functionality remains the same. Okay, great. Okay, I think this is, I wanted to do windows and tabs. So there's not a lot more left before I finish off for today. And the next time I come in, I think search is like a massive thing on its own. So, okay, so we replaced that. That's fine. And let's get into windows and buffers. Make sure everything is good here. Okay, what am I saying here? Yeah, Vim edits buffers in memory, and then when you save it, it modifies the file. Split the window, navigating through windows. I know like a lot of people have like Control J, Control K, Control H, Control map to window navigation in Vim. I don't do that because I feel like the keys, like the J, K, L, H keys map with Control are so important that I use them for other things. So I don't like Control J, K being mapped to window navigation. It's not a big deal for me to press Control W, J. And that's what I do. Like I'll press Control W, J, K, whatever to navigate. Not a big deal. I personally think that people should not have those mapped to window navigation. But you know, whatever, you're adults, do what you want. So yeah, just describing window functionality here, and then changing some window configuration over here. Which is how the splitting works. When I closed the wrong window earlier is because I didn't have I was operating under these splitting principles. So let's bring those in. And so that happens here. And now, let's say I come back here. When I split, I'm in this window And this was my original window, which is a lot more sensible. So when I did this split, the new one opens here, and the existing buffer window remains here. So new stuff opens to the right or below. So when I close this, I know that I'm closing that extra window. This should not be those spaces. Just going to take a quick second to check my messages just in case. Just an extra couple seconds here. Okay, I'm done. Okay. Where are we now? We are doing windows, so got that done. So now our splits are good. Here's the explanation for the splits. I want to see if this plugin is necessary anymore. So let's say I did do this. It is. And that's only because I don't know if there's a substitute plugin somewhere else. Let me get rid of these. Okay. I will use, let's take a look at the plugin itself. This is not a lot here. It hasn't been updated for a while. Not a big deal because it's not doing anything too radical. So let me install it and explain what it does. I'm noticing one thing. I need to add this comma here at the end. No, I'm in the wrong file again, like a loser. Now I'm in the right file. I still do need to add the comma here. So let me add that comma first, which is here, because as I'm building the file automatically through the code, it needs to accept something else. So let's get Zoom tab in here and explain what it does. Okay, so it's installed. Let's say I open a different window, which I have here. So these are two different files. And I just want to focus on this file, right? Maybe I've split this. So I have now 3 splits. And I want to just focus on this. So I want to expand it. So I press Control W-O, which makes this the only window. I work on it, and then I'm done. And I want to go back to the splits I had. So I press Control W-O again, and boom, I'm back to my split. So it's about giving this window focus and then removing that focus. Give this focus, remove that focus. So I know this can be done through other shortcuts, but super useful for me. I do use this all the time. Another thing I also use, not all the time, but when it's necessary, and I don't have any shortcuts for it because I don't use it that often, but I use it when I need it, which is narrow region. I'm wondering whether there's like a equivalent plugin in Neovim. They might use different words, like even focus, editing, or whatever. Yeah, so there's some similar plugins. I'm okay to just stick with this. Let's see if there's any other things that need to be accommodated for. No, it seems fine. It is old. It hasn't been updated in a while, but I think that's okay. Okay, so here I'll add the plugin and I'll explain what it does. So narrow region allows you to essentially select a portion of the file and then run the narrow region command. And up here, I have just the selected region in a buffer that I can edit, do whatever. If I'm doing a search and replace, which should only impact this region, then I know that all my changes won't impact the entire file. They'll only impact just the region I selected. And once I'm ready to save, those changes get applied to the actual file or buffer. And I use this for cases like, I need to replace text obj with, Lala. And now I can do a broad search and replace just in this block without worrying that I'm editing anything outside of that block. And then when I save, those changes get applied here. When I exit, the whole file hasn't been saved. So there's still that plus there. When I save this, now everything's been saved. So there's multiple kind of steps there. Undo, I don't want that change there. But yeah, narrow region, super useful to narrow a region and focus and work on it, especially if you're in larger files. That's really helpful. And I know this is controversial, but I don't use tabs. A lot of people love them. There's a lot of plugins that help enhance your tab workflows. Because I'm not, where are they? They're there. I know they're there. I'm just looking for I thought there'd be like a whole bunch. Oh, yeah, tab line. So probably these that allow you to manage your tabs in window in Neovim. You could click. Can you click and drag? I didn't know you could do that. I'm just double clicking and it's opening it. A new tab. Didn't know that was possible. Can I click and drag? I can click and drag. This is default functionality. I'm always surprised by mouse-based actions because I don't use too many of them. And when it just works, it is very satisfying. Still, I don't use tabs. I generally stick to just the one window, but a tab is sort of another window with a tab. And now you could do splits here and still work across this tab and then go back here. Oh, look at that. It tells you there's 3 splits in this tab. Yeah, a tab is essentially a group of windows, right? Yeah, a tab is a collection of windows. I recognize they exist. Maybe I should use tabs. I don't think so. Like I don't really feel the need to, given everything else that I have access to. But I can definitely see like, if I'm working on one set of files here, let's say, where I have like these splits, and I'm like, I want to work on a similar set of files, but I don't want to get rid of my splits here, then tab new, and now I can start working on like another set of files. I don't do it, but I value that. What I don't like is opening a tab for every single file that you open. That I use splits for. Like if I am in this file and I want to quickly look at another file, I am loading that file up in a split. And I feel like that's a lot more efficient, especially if I need to work, like reference something here and do something here, which is most of the time while I'm opening a split or like even looking at a different file. Otherwise, if I'm just working on a different file, I just search for that file and go to it. So, okay, that's tabs. If anyone ever watches this and says, "Adnan, you're wrong. Tabs are so amazing and you're missing out," feel free to comment and let me know. What am I missing? How, like, is there a video I should watch on tabs in Neovim? And maybe I'll learn something. But I've documented stuff here that will allow you to do tab things. Okay, one thing I do use tabs for sometimes is this. Rarely do I do it, but I do it sometimes. which is tab new %, which opens this file in a new tab, the same buffer in a new tab. I know I had like a very specific use case for this. I do use it from time to time. I actually, but it's so rare, I actually don't remember that use case. Yeah, I don't remember. But that's it. I think that's all I wanted to cover for today. Really wanted to get to Windows and tabs. Search is its own beast. Once we get into it, there's a lot more plugins coming with search. Like Telescope, we'll learn how to do search and replace, one of our global commands. So, okay, search and replace, search and replace coming up next, and then we'll take it from there. But that's all I had for today. And I'll see you at a random time in the future. All right, let's go home.